Welcome to the podcast for online fitness coaches. We're Benji Tucker and Ethan Gonzalez, and together we scaled each of our fitness businesses from 0 to 80K in just 4 months. On this podcast, you'll hear how to get more online fitness clients, make more profit from each of them, how to keep them longer, and the many failures and lessons we've learned on our path to a combined 160K per month. Today is part 2 of 2 in our mini series talking about exactly how we increased our call show rates to 90+% and pre-frame prospects, so we effectively turned ourselves into cash machines and doubled our business. And if you haven't watched the previous episode, I recommend watching that episode in addition to this one, as we'll be going through point by point our 16-point checklist, starting where we left off on the last episode at point number 8. And guys, by the way, this is the exact checklist that we give to all of our clients in our launch program. So if you just want the checklist, DM us the word list on Instagram at PT Launchpad, and we will send it over as soon as you message us. So we already talked in the last episode all about the importance of call show rates and, points 1 through 7 on how to increase show rates and pre-frame our audience. So now we're going to get into sort of the automation section, starting with that in terms of what emails, what texts you're going to be sending your prospects to, and what cadence to follow to ensure that you move them down the chain and continue to keep that desire pumping before they show up to the call. So if you watched the last episode, you know that the calls should not be any longer than 3 days out. But let's say that they book not in the next hour, right? Every additional hour that goes, the burning desire wanes because they don't feel the strong emotions anymore that you elicited in the DM process. So how do we do that? We continue to elicit those emotions by following a certain cadence. Eva, is there anything you want to kind of mention about that as well?
Yeah, basically just that you need to have some sort of way and sequence and kind of process to the way that you message the prospects ahead of the call. It can't just be like, "Hey man, here's the call. Let's show up." Like they're just not going to show up, or they're going to forget it, or something's going to come up, or like Benji's talking about, the desire is going to go away. So you got to keep them engaged even before the call, so they show up to the call with that same engagement.
Exactly. And so many people, like you make a great point. There's cadence, which is, by the way, better than people with no cadence. We've met so many people that have done like 5 to 10K monthly and they didn't even have a cadence, which is, mind blowing already. But a lot of people just have a cadence where it's, hey, thank you for booking your call. Here's the time. 48 hours. Thank you for, hey, I'm excited to see you. Here's your time. Just a reminder, 48 hours. Just a friendly reminder. Yeah, 24 hours, 90 minutes, 1 minute, friendly reminder. Eventually, it's a little too friendly, the reminders, because no one gives a fuck, and it doesn't do anything for your business, right? You might as well not send all those. So the first one we're going to go over is point number 8 on this list, picking up where we left off. It is an immediate email confirmation following booking, and then we're going to tie it into number 9 as well. So it's, hey, name, your appointment with, X company is scheduled for this date at this time. Here's the Zoom link. And then you're also, in addition to that, going to so this is number 9 now, because it's 2 different points, right? Here's the actual time that allows them to confirm the meeting in Google Calendar. And then number 9 is in that initial email, you're going to clip 2 relevant long form pieces of content or your pre-framing materials. So now what Ethan and I recommend to our clients is clipping the stealth VSL that we talked about in the last episode and clipping that thank you page that has the, hey, here's how to confirm your appointment. Here's all the, answers to your deepest questions and your testimonials. Exactly.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you kind of have them, make sure they have access to it, not only the DMs, but also an email. And then also jumping into kind of point number 10, which is really after they book in a few minutes after, you'll really just send them a video kind of talking about the pre-meeting material. So if you can go through that, Benji.
Yeah. So what I do is, okay, so I want to talk about what people typically do and why it doesn't work anymore. So
Mhm.
what people have always done historically is they have their GHL automation set up or their Calendly text automation set up, and it's that same standard message. Hey, like, thanks for booking your call, whatever, right? And you get like a green text message because it's automated. It's not going to be blue, it's going to be green. So what is the first thing that tells you is that this is probably an automation or it's not as legit, because people know that blue means iPhone personalization. The guy actually messaged me, and they're probably used to, they might have been, messaged by other coaches before in the same way and have chosen not the bot to buy. So that right there alone plays into the psychology. You don't want them to feel like it's automation. You want them to feel cared about, and that will also become sort of a unique selling proposition for once they show up on the call. Because in my former sales script for fitness, I don't know necessarily, even did it in a different way, but I would ask people, hey, there's a million mentors out there, why me? And everyone would always talk about my level of personalization, that it seemed like I actually cared about them. And what is required to show that you actually care about them is an extra 60 seconds out of your day. And what is that 60 seconds? The first message, I want you guys to take their phone number and to use your actual phone and to send them a video message. And basically what that video message is going to say is, hey, it's Benji here. I just sent you an email going through going through certain resources I want to show you. Here's the time that you booked in for. I know sometimes life gets busy. Just want to confirm real quickly. Were you able to receive that and confirm your attendance? So we're sending this hyper personalized, or I don't want to call it hyper personalized video, but this personalized video where you say the person's name and you're showing that it is specifically for them and not someone else. Even when we started to implement this, how much more did our show rates increase? And also, how much happier did the leads feel to speak to us after that?
Yeah, so for me, this was like one of the biggest things that I implemented early on, like to get from that 60 to, 70+% show rate. Because when you get them to respond to a message, right? So typically when they get a reminder from some other coach or some other place, like I'm sure you guys do, you're not going to respond to that message. You're just gonna be like, okay, cool, the call's in 24 hours, whatever. Like, do about your day. But when they're like,
Yeah.
hey, did you check this out? I emailed you something. Did you check your email? And you're like, oh, yeah, I saw it. And then you confirm, you're like, yep, I got it. They're so much more likely to be engaged going forward because they actually send a message back. Even just one response makes their show up rate so much higher than no response to your text.
That's a really good point. Yeah, if the statistics show if you can get one response, I think the percent chance that they will show up increases dramatically. If you get two responses, it increases again. If you basically the more responses you get until to a fault, like it's a bell curve, the better the show up rate is. And the prospects seemed almost surprised that we did that. So when they would show up to the call and you'd talk if they were to bring that up, sometimes they'd even show up to the call, by the way, for me and be like, hey dude, like thanks so much for the video messages you sent me. Like I didn't think they would even say like, I didn't even think this was you. I was cool with it, but I thought I was talking to a robot, or like I was talking to, basically they're familiar, some of these prospects, with the idea of an appointment setter now. So they would quite literally say, I didn't even think I was talking to you. Like, I'm really impressed with this. I had one of my clients that signed up for a huge package with me, and he originally showed friction in the or resistance in the sales process. Didn't book in a call right away. A couple months go by, and he goes, you seem very authentic. Let me book in a call. I sent him that pre-call video as well, and he gets right on the call. And he's like, dude, honestly, like I've worked with 4 other fitness coaches before. And the reason it took me so long to get on this call is because I didn't think I would ever work with a fitness coach again. And then I saw how personalized your messages were to me, that you were sending me videos before the call. And I realized, like, man, if that guy's doing that before I'm even his client, this is another part of the psychology, then what is it going to look like when I'm inside of his program? Surely he must care about me there. Now, some people screw people over in that way, but don't do that if you're listening to us, because that's the psychology that plays in here.
Yeah, definitely making sure that they feel taken care of before and then after, because that's kind of like the law of reciprocity, where you overall show them like, hey, we care about you. Here's something for you, like valuable information. They're going to want to show that reciprocity and actually show up to the call. They won't ghost
Yeah.
you. they won't ghost you to the call if they find value in what you're talking to them about.
Yeah, because then they feel bad. Like, it's very simple. If you are, there's two principles there: law of reciprocity and the liking principle. If you give them something, they're not go in return. Their gift to you is showing up to the call and not being an asshole, not showing up.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, if they come to like you as a person and have real trust in you, then they're going to have a feeling, like, personally, where they're like, I'm an asshole if I don't show up to this call. Like, that would be horrible. Like, I can't do that to this person because I actually feel I would feel extreme sympathy for, or almost like sadness for them if someone had done that to them. Whereas if you just position yourself as sort of this foreign entity that has no real world connection to them, not a person, not a human, but an online marketer or coach, well, then all of a sudden you're just, you're not how they would treat a family member or a friend. And if you're not that, and you're not like them in that way, then they don't care that you don't show up. They look at you like a robot and not a human.
1000%. You need to have that relationship built up with them in a way that they, understand you're a real person. And that goes to the point about kind of the setters and things like that, because that's what you're going to eventually have. You're going to have a setter in the DM. So you have to build more trust through sending voice notes, sending videos, making sure they would, oh, this was Ethan talking to me, even though maybe it wasn't. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, reality is perception. So if they could perceive that it was you talking to them, like, and this is a whole nother video we can make about setting, but if they just perceive that it was you talking to them, it really wasn't, then they're going to love that, right? And
Yeah.
like, that's what it will even do for you guys. If you reach out to us, we don't have a setter right now. We don't need one with our current funnel. But if we were using more of a certain type of funnel where we required a setter, what would happen is you'd come in and you think that all the time you were talking to us, you weren't, and then you'd come into the program, you'd think you were. It would say, hey, by the way, guys, we were lying to you, and it worked, and you're going to do the same thing for your clients, and it's going to work. Like, we would just tell you that straight up, right? Because we sometimes give people, like, do what's required to give people what we need and, like, change more lives. And, like, we're the only fitness coaches that are going to say, like, hey, here, like, we literally told a white lie. Like, we're the only, like, business coaches that are going to say that, because everyone else is going to pretend what they're doing is ethical and sort of do these sort of mental gymnastics to say, oh, this is fully okay, or like, this is actually what we're doing. We're not lying. We're we just accidentally slipped on a banana peel and clicked a button, right? Like, no, we're like telling you what we're actually doing. So yeah, that's a really good point, Ethan.
Yeah.
So that was point number 10. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, you're good. I was going to say, we're telling you how it is, because like, that's what we did in our fitness business, and you're going to have to do the same. That's all I was going to say, basically. Like,
Absolutely. So mimic that 100%. So that was point number 10. Point number 11. We call this strategy the Blitzkrieg email strategy. No one has this strategy except one other guy. We're not even gonna say who he is because he won. But no, his name's Jeremy Haynes. He works with the reason we could say that we're not afraid of him is because he works with people only that are doing more than 100,000 a month. So we learned this from him, and we're gonna trickle this down to you guys at your level of business. And essentially, it's where you take your breakout videos that we talked about in part 1 of this mini series. That's answering for people who might be listening to this one first, it's answering the biggest questions in, 1 to 5 minute videos that your prospects have that preemptively strike objections. You're going to take those videos, you're going to take your client testimonials, you're going to plug that into your GHL or whatever your CRM's email automation is, and you're going to send out about 3 emails per day leading up to the call, so that they have an extra chance to consume those videos if they hadn't yet done it on the thank you pages as well. This is huge because it just gives it another opportunity for them to see this. It continues the need for a burning, or that to have that burning desire and need to show up to the call. And it really just turns you into a cash machine. I've got nothing else really other to say than that, Ethan, if you want to touch on that, because we didn't use that strategy ever. And then we started to, because, no one was teaching us this. For the record, guys, we did the math recently for one of our VSLs that we were making for, guys that were clicking on our ads to watch. And we've spent $110,000 on mentors. So we didn't have one mentor that taught us this apart from the one that we mentioned. And when we started to implement it, what did it do for us?
Yeah, I mean, having kind of those objection handling videos also helps majority in your sales process and having to be pre-sold. That's like the biggest thing that it's going to help with is overall helping prospects understand once they get on the call with you, like I already have those burning questions answered. I already know what that is. And this guy is the only person who has a solution that'll work for me. Like getting that frame of mind is super important. And that's what works well for my offer. Because there are a lot of other fitness coaches out there who work with women, but not a lot of them know how to read GI maps or Dutch tests or blood work or fix different issues that are going on. And so when I speak about those problems throughout my VSL and throughout the breakout videos, it helps them understand, oh, shoot, like it's different than going to my doctor because my doctor is going to take 6 months to get the labs done. And we're going to get labs done in 6 months. And then he's going to look at them. And then it's going to be $500 for the consult and all these different things.
Yes. I got to go to 85 different specialists, right? Like,
I got to go to these different specialists. I need a trainer. I need a life coach. I need a functional health doctor. Like you need all these different things. Or you could just work with Ethan and he does everything for you. And it's like, oh, that saves me a bunch of time and money. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, imagine those questions, right? Like, don't I need lots of different experts for this? Right? Boom, you answer that question. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because if you go on the internet, it's going to say you need like 8 million experts for these various issues. What is the difference between, going through this and a doctor? That's another big question these people are going to have. If they go to internet to answer the question, it's going to say, what is it going to say? It's going to say, don't do this with someone that's not a licensed doctor. It's going to say that. And obviously we know it's bullshit. Like I was just reading, this is such a side tangent. I'll go for 10 seconds here, but the girl who wrote the Beyond the Pill book, Dr. Jolene something, she was just talking about how that in that industry, we're so behind in American medicine in general for females and their hormones and pre-pregnancy periods and all these things. And so when Ethan comes, and he has to meet all that misinformation, like to tie it back in, like he has to meet all that misinformation that people have because they're, like I said before in this podcast, reality is perception, and their reality is that they need a doctor, that the doctor is the expert, that he's going to solve all the problems. Everyone else is bad, everyone else is evil, and it's really the inverse. And Ethan has to now belief shift them in his videos.
Exactly. That's exactly
so it took me a little bit to get there, but you get the point. So, guys, the Blitzkrieg email strategy is game-changing for sure because it speaks to the point that we were making prior, wherein you give someone a reason to show up, you don't beg them to show up. So now, right, we're going to go into number 12, which is going to be a text reminder. We're not going to use emails for text reminders. That's just going to be for the Blitzkrieg strategy, but we are going to use text occasionally for reminders. So the 24-hour is just going to be like, Ethan, exclamation point. I'm more than pumped to be speaking to you tomorrow at this time. And then you can even throw in like a specific client testimonial through text as well. So, and what I would recommend is personalizing the client testimonial to someone that is in the same shoes as that person. And you can even say, hey, I was going through my client testimonial, so it shows that you have worked with a lot of people. And I thought that this person would resonate with you the most. Like, take a second to watch this. That crushes. It's so personalized. You get the blue text message right there. It crushes.
That's actually like, that is like when I worked at 7th Level. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I worked at Jeremy Miner's company, the best sales training company out there. And when I worked with them, it was actually very interesting how they handled like pre-call show up. It's so simple. It was literally like the setter would message the person from their cell and actually send them a personalized testimonial that was similar to their industry. And that'd be it. It'd be very, very simple. But it worked. Why? Because it's so different than all the other automated reminders you get out there. It's so different because you got that personalization. So we're taking these, like, I don't even know what they are now. They're maybe 8-figure company, and we're installing that into your business using this checklist. So you get all that knowledge that we accumulated.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime that you want to implement things to, like anytime you have a specific goal, if you reverse engineer from what the best are doing, you're going to get the best results for your level that you're currently at. So when you do something like this, it's not, oh, Jeremy Miner's the greatest at sales. Let me just do what he does. No, it doesn't. You can't do that, right? It's like trying to copy the best chess player in the world. You can't copy you can't copy Magnus Carlsen as being the best chess player. Like, oh, he did this move. Like, let me just do this move. Like, you're not going to know when to do that move, how to do it, how to execute it. With show ups, it's the easiest thing in the world, and it increases your business and the amount of money you make. So fucking just do it. It takes a little bit of extra work, and you make a lot of extra money. So
Don't be lazy.
that is, yeah, exactly. Don't be lazy. If that was our slogan, that could be it. But that's number 12 right there on our checklist. Number 13 on the checklist. Here's another level of personalization. So you can see that we're really big on personalization here. Sometimes you're going to get very busy. You might not do all 3 of the personalized text messages. The biggest thing is at least get one personalized video and a personalized client testimonial if possible as well. You just want to show that there is a level of personalization more than what other business owners do. But number 13 is the day of the appointment, sending a video text 90 minutes before the call. And I would always send a video just saying, hey, Ethan, this is Benji from Generation Fit. I was just sending you over this video message, one to show I'm a real breathing person, not AI or a robot. And also I'm really pumped to see you at the call at this time. And I'll see you soon. Right? Like that's all I would do. So I would crack like a little like joke. I'd say the same thing to everyone. I'd have a smile on my face. I'd actually show my teeth, which by the way, guys, in an evolutionary sense, if you smile and show people like that you are a happy person, like you're going to be happy. Like if you're watching this video podcast right now and I have like a grin on my face while I'm saying this, you're going to have a grin on your face too. Your mood is going to be happier. If I'm just like there, I was going to demonstrate it. We're on a fucking podcast. If I was very stern and had a, the inverse of a grin, what was that called? A smug look on my face. Yeah, exactly. You guys would feel that a little bit too. And I would translate that emotion through my body language to you. So it's like those little details in your marketing and your personalized messages that I saw a huge and have continued to see a huge difference in my fitness business.
One thing that's funny too is that this is a podcast, but like I want people to listen if they can hear when I'm smiling or when I'm normal. I'll say the same.
Yeah.
Just say my name's like, hey, it's Ethan Gonzalez. Ready? So, hey, it's Ethan Gonzalez. How are you doing? Right? Versus, hey, it's Ethan Gonzalez. How are you doing? You see how like visually Benji can obviously see it, but like I smiling in one, higher pitched, different tonality versus lower monotone, not smiling, unhappy.
And you can't, I don't think like, we could try it and it would be like ridiculous, but I don't think it's possible to smile and sound negative while talking with a smile. Like, I don't even think it's possible. Like, hey, like you can't do it. Like I'm trying to do it. Like you can't, So guys, it works. Like Tony Robbins said in terms of mood, if you're like really upset, it's like this ridiculous exercise. And maybe you're not going to want to do it if like your mom dies or something like that. But what you would do is if you're in a very, glim mood, you'd look up. So you literally have your chin up and you'd smile for 60 seconds at the ceiling. And it was like really hard after that to not be in a good mood. Like you just be smiley and happy because you just tapped into sort of this part of your evolutionary biology that relates to happiness and and because your body language dictates that, your own thoughts dictate that, they inversely connect to one another. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if you could just translate that to your client before the call, you put them in a better mood before the call. If you do the inverse of that, it could have deleterious effects. So instead of the pre-call sequence working, they see you and they say, oh, wow, this guy has a horrible personality. Like, I don't want to go on a call with this guy. So you make sure that you don't suck as a personality and really do your best to be lively and and a happy person, because you're trying to sell a happy future for this person. So if you're not happy, why are they going to go with you and trust you to do it?
Yeah. And I'll say one point, this is kind of a side point, but it's like a really important thing is if you're going to take sales calls, if you've already taken a bunch of calls in a day and you're like burned out and you hate the life, don't take the call, probably reschedule. Like, this is one thing I'll say. Like, if you take calls that are like qualified people and you actively get on it and you hate your life and you're just super burned out, you're not going to close that deal. You're going to have
No
a chance. So I've done hoops calls if I'm sick or if I don't feel good or I'm unhappy or something bad happened, like move the call. That's all.
And keep in mind, that's also because Ethan books a lot of calls, though. Like, don't do that if you have like one call in the day or like two calls. Like, no matter what, like,
Tired.
like, yeah. Like, that's like if you have 7 calls in a day and like you had a call where it's like an hour of objections. You had one lady that said, "Oh, sorry, I can't do it because my pet hamster just died," or something, right? Like, that's when it's like, I've had enough. Like, I want to jump out the window. It's been 10 hours of calls today. I just want to be clear about that because I know for a fact there's going to be like someone that will listen to it and they'd say, "Oh, okay, like I hate sales calls. Like I'm not going to take this one today." And then they complain that they make no money. So, no, that's a really good point.
There's a time.
No, that's a really good point though. Guys, number 12 on the checklist, really simple. 3 minutes before a Zoom call, you could just do a basic text and email reminder, just letting them know, "Hey, I'm hopping into Zoom lobby. See you soon." Like, that's it. You know, you don't have to, at that point, the ship has sailed for giving them the reason to show up. They probably either will or will not.
Yep.
And then the call itself. So this is the next section. We've gone through booking the call. We've gone through call confirmation / pre-call. And now here is when the call is starting. So here's like a really cool thing in Zoom that no one knows about, no one does. And I believe you could still do it as well, but we've done it in the past. In the waiting room for your Zoom call, if that's the software you use, and this would probably be one of the main reasons you'd want to use it, is you could actually put a video in the waiting room for Zoom. So like, let's say, and this has happened to me a lot, I'm on a sales call, and so I'm not quite done at the hour of, like, let's say I'm starting at 9, someone shows up at 8:55 and they're waiting to be in the room, right? Sometimes people are tired of waiting, even if you know, they're there early. So what you can do is continue to create the emotional state that you want for them to get on a call. Because maybe they came out after work, maybe their boss shit on them all day, or maybe they're just not having the burning desire like they had when you were in the DM process or when they watched your breakout videos or VSL. So you could actually put a video of just like endless client testimonials going through it, making it almost like an emotion, like, you know, like a hype package video before a UFC fight, and like epic music in the background. You could do something like that to just get them hyped up for the call. And it's a really good feeling that they have when they show up. So that's something that's like a little known, almost secret, that I really recommend. Ethan, is there really anything you want to say about that, or do you want to just jump into the next one?
Yeah, I'd say that's really helpful. And I was going to tie one point back to point number 12, which is when you say like, "Hey, hop into the Zoom lobby now," and it's like 3 minutes early, a lot of people will actually join early. So I actually had a lot of people join at, like, if the call is at 1, they join at 12:57, or the call's at, 6 or 7, they join at 6:57, right? So they join 3 minutes early, so you could actually have that video playing for them, and they would actually increase conversion on that as well.
100%, yeah. And you know, where I got this idea from was what Alex Hormozi and Gym Launch did for in-person gyms. So what he would do, and so I want to explain a second example just so you guys understand the psychology. So in gym situations, people would show up and they'd be waiting for him to be done with whatever sales he was in person, right? He has his office in a boutique studio. And what he would do is he'd have on the wall client testimonials just pinned up one by one, all throughout the wall where the person was sitting. And so now they're noticing before they're going into the call, "Oh my gosh, that guy could be me. That guy could be me." And they're seeing on the wall these pinned up images. And then on the questionnaire, they're filling out, because that's how it works with an in-person gym. It's the first question is, "Where did you first read about us from?" And it's like the you know, CNN, Fox News was like number 1, right? Number 2 was like the local news article. And so it framed him as an authority. So he was putting these people in an emotional state of, wow, this guy really knows his shit. Oh my gosh, all these people got great results, and that could be me too. And I trust that guy more because he was on Fox News and got people a lot of results. We're doing the same thing here with this video and really the entire sales process as a whole, but that's kind of where the idea was inspired by. And I've never seen it really teached anywhere. So I think that's a pretty awesome thing to do.
I think so for sure. I think that's a good point.
So that was number 14. Number 15 is, if they do not Sorry, I went through the wrong one. That was number 13. This is number 14 that I'm going to go through now. If they do not show up after the first 2 minutes of the call, I want you to double call them. So you call them once. If they don't answer, you call them a second time. A lot of times, this increases show up rate by multiple percentage points because the person literally forgot. And yes, that shows that they're a less intent lead for sure, but you could close less intent leads. Maybe you close high intent leads at 70%, low intent leads at 30%. But if that gets you 10 extra calls per month and you close 3 extra people, that's an extra 12K into your business every single month. So it makes a phenomenal difference. I can't tell you how many times it's so strange. I want to like shit on these people, but you'll call them, "Hey dude, we booked for this time, you had responded an hour ago, you're showing up, everything okay?" And they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, I was sleeping," or something. Like it's like such a stupid fucking reason, but I'm sure your experience has been the same, Ethan, right?
No, because I think one of the biggest things is a lot of people, especially like we talked about this in the previous episode, but the time of when you book the call is really important. Like you want them, of course, to book the time that's most optimal for them. But for a lot of people who book later in the evening, which is people getting outside of work, they're most likely going to be less likely to show to that call. So when you double dial them, like you dial them twice after 2 minutes of them not joining the Zoom lobby, realistically, it's been like 5 because you joined 3 minutes early. You're basically seeing, okay, they didn't show up technically after 5 minutes, really too. You double dial them. A lot of the times you get people who are like, "Oh my gosh, I just got back from work. I just got home. I'm taking the groceries into the house right now." Or I just put my kid down. I'm joining in a couple seconds. Can you give me a second? And you're like, "Yep, no worries. Feel free to join in." Right. But if you didn't call them, the likelihood that they remember to rejoin, even though you've already set everything up, is way less. So literally giving them a call saying, "Hey, it's just Ethan. I'm on the Zoom right now. Do you have the link?" That alone gets them to show up.
Yeah, for sure. And I think some people, I know this sounds a little bizarre because your job is to be a salesperson and talk to people over the phone and the video chat, but I think some people are afraid to do it because there's something different about dialing someone and like almost having like the fear of like this instant rejection of like either not picking up or well, the person picking up and having like a kind of an uncomfortable conversation, right? Especially whatever the case is, but when someone shows up to a call and you're already there, it's what you're accustomed to, it's what you're expecting, and you're more in the driver's seat. Things are more certain.
True.
So I think some people just like avoid not calling, like out of like a slight fear that's totally misplaced and doesn't make any sense logically, but totally makes sense emotionally. Like I think there's just something scary about picking up the phone, hearing the dial, and like not knowing what's gonna happen, like when someone picks up, if they do.
Yeah. And that is a really big one because I noticed that like very early on, I should have been calling leads if they didn't show up or things like that. And I'd be like, do I call them? Do I not? And it's like, you should. They booked for this time with you to solve a problem. So you're calling them is helping them. You're calling them.
And you know what else you shouldn't is because you probably spent $200+ to book this call. So that's another reason why you should fucking call them, because if not, then you're wasting money. Like the difference, but just think about this, right? The difference, like let's say you end up closing the deal, especially like, right? Because there's a high chance that you do. The difference between not calling and calling to get someone to show up could be the difference between 4,000 plus in profit and maybe even more on the back end. So why wouldn't you do that if there was let's just say your typical close rate is 40%. If you get someone to show up, you have a 40% chance they make $4,000 today and maybe another 6K on the back end. Why wouldn't you call for a little discomfort?
Yeah. Great.
Let's just frame it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great shift.
All right. Let's go number 15. This is just like the little extra things if they're not answering. So if they don't answer the phone call, just text them, "Hey, I'm on Zoom waiting for you to join. Do you have the link?" So basically the same thing that you would say if they picked up the call. And then number 16 is to send an email if they have not showed up 5 minutes after the scheduled time and they're not answering the text either. You'd basically just say, "Hey, Ethan, I'm on the Zoom waiting for you to join, but don't see you in the waiting room. Here's the link again in case you need it." And then you could just say, "I'll be here for another 5 minutes before moving on to my next appointments. Ethan Gonzalez," right? Or whatever your name is. So that's just another way to recapture their attention. If for some reason their their phone is off, but they're on desktop and they're able to receive emails, it's just like a little extra safety net that might increase show rate by 1 to 3%, but that 1 to 3% adds up when you do it across every single point on this checklist that we're asking you to do, right? Like, guys, just keep in mind, this is a 16-point checklist. So if each of these points increase your show up rate by 1%, you go from 60% to 75%.
Yeah.
If each of them increase by 2%, you go from 30% to 62%, right? So we had to test my math there. Was that right?
Yeah.
I think it was.
So
Yeah, so I'm the guy that sucks at math, but you guys get my point, is that if every little thing is a percentage point increase, oh, it's not worth it because it's not going to be the thing that moves the needle. No, you have to do everything, right? It's like in football, right? You have 4 downs, right? Let's say you'll go for it on 4th down. You have 4 downs. You have first play. You move. You go a yard, right? Second play, you go a couple yards. Third play, you go a couple yards. You're on the 1 yard line now, and it could be a touchdown. It's 4th down and inches. So it's a game of inches now, because you steadily worked your way up. You have inches. Are you gonna say, it's not worth it because it's just a few inches, or like this 1 inch over, and I score 7 points and like I could win the Super Bowl instead of Russell Wilson fucking throwing an interception and being a retard? So like, what are you gonna do? Say, oh no, like I think I'll just take the field goal and do the easy way and not get any points to try and win the game? Or are you gonna say, no, I'm gonna try and put all this effort in for this extra inch to score that touchdown to win the game? And that's basically what I'm trying to say there. I feel like that's an epic analogy that I just came up with, by the way. I want to compliment myself.
And I think that ties into like some of the things we were talking about earlier about being lazy and spending money, because it's like you literally spent $200 to talk to this person in the DMs to get them on a call, and then you're not going to call them and you're not going to send a text and you're not going to send an email. That's literally, like you're saying, the last inches to get them on a call. Like, why would you skip this? And then there's a whole nother topic that we could talk about what to do if they don't show up, right? There's a whole nother episode we could talk about like all the different ways you can continue to follow up with them, send out different resources and things like that to get them over that line again. Because again, you still spend the same $200. So you might as well try and get them on a call later, if at all.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that wraps up kind of this mini series between the 2 different parts about increasing your show rate. So really from here, I want to say thank you guys for watching the 6th episode of the podcast for online fitness coaches. As a thank you, as we've kind of mentioned a little bit before, I want to give you this exact 16-point checklist that Benji and I and our clients use. So if you want it, just go ahead and message us list on Instagram at PT Launchpad. No spaces at all. So just make sure you spell out PT Launchpad, and we'll go ahead and send the list right over to you.